Good morning to all. I am Nagavani NV, Assistant Professor of English. Today's class, I am going to explain Act 1, Scene 1 and 2 from the play Every Man in His Humour by Ben Jonson, described by the University of Mysore, to the second year BA, third semester optional English, paper 3. Title of the paper is Elizabethan Theatre. In the last class, we had learnt about the concept of comedy of humors. Let me go to the characters in the play. Characters in the play are Novel, Edward, an old gentleman, Edward Novel, Novel's son, Oliver Cobb, a water bearer, Justice Clement, an old magistrate, Brainworm, Novel's servant, George Downright, Esquire, Roger Formal, Clement's clerk, Wellbred, Downright's half-brother, Kitely, a merchant, Dame Kitely, Kitely's wife, Captain Bobadil, a soldier, Mrs. Bridget, his sister, Master Stephen, Novel's cousin from country, Tib, Cobb's wife, Master Matthew, a foolish friend of Bobadil, Thomas Cash, Kitely's cashier. In Act 1 and Scene 1, we are introduced to these characters. Novel Senior, Brainworm, Stephen, Messenger from Wellbred. In the Scene 1, we are introduced to these characters and it begins in the courtyard of Novel Senior in his household. He desires to talk to his son, Edward Novel, so he sends his servant, instructs his servant, Brainworm, to bring his son if he is not studying. He is glad that his son is engaged in education. And his only worry is that Edward spends a lot of time on poetry, which according to him is a waste of time. His nephew, Master Stephen, a simple-minded man from countryside, is introduced in this scene. And Stephen is seen inquiring about books on hawking and hunting because he feels it is a trend in the city. ಸ್ಟೀಫನ್ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾನೆ, ಸಿಟಿ ಲೈಫ್ ಕಲಿಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ಸಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಅವಾಗ ಫ್ಯಾಷನ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಓಲ್ಡ್ ನೋವೆಲ್ ಡಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ he chastises Stephen and a messenger come with a letter. The letter is addressed to Edward Novel. It is an invitation from Wellbred to get together. Novel Senior reads the letter without Edward's permission. In this letter, Wellbred has written a few hurtful things in a bad language about Novel Senior, mocking him and his old-fashioned ways. Novel Senior is hurt by the contents and he decides never to interfere with Edward's career choices. The language of the letter. The language of the letter in the invitation is the highlight of the scene. The letter is from an educated person but lacks decency. The sender's name is ironically Wellbred, but his letter shows his indecency and lack of manners. It talks in length about Novel Senior in a derogatory fashion. His profession and hard work and place is mocked. Let me summarize the whole thing. We are introduced to Mr. Novel. He is an educated person who places a lot of importance on education. We learn that Edward Novel is also a scholar pursuing a career in poetry. Novel's decision to refrain from the choice of Edward's career. ಇಷ್ಟು ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಂದ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ about what does Stephen want to read? Horse riding and hunting, shooting and defense, hunting and kite flying, hawking and hunting. In whose household does Act 1 begin? Brainworm, Novel, Bellegarde, Stephen. Novel. What is Edward Novel's interest in? play writing, story writing, poetry, acting in drama, poetry. Whose letter does Noel Senior receive instead of his son Edward Noel? Stephen, Braemar, Kitely, Velvet. What is Noel Senior's servant's name? Brainstorm, Brainton, Brainteal, Brainworm. Brainworm is the name of the servant of Noel. ಇದಿಷ್ಟು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ 1 ಸೀನಲ್ಲಿ ನಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಿಚಾರ. ಇನ್ನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ 1 ಸೀನ್ 2ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರೈನ್ವಾರ್ಮ್, ಎಡ್ವರ್ಡ್ ನೋವೆಲ್, ಸ್ಟೀಫನ್ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸೀನ್ ಬ್ರೈನ್ವಾರ್ಮ್ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ ಎಡ್ವರ್ಡ್ ನೋವೆಲ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಫಾದರ್ ರೆಡ್ ದ ಲೆಟರ್ ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಟು ಹಿಮ್. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿರ್ತಾರೆ ನಾನು ಓದಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ. ಎಡ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ನನ್ನ ತಂದೆ ಕೋಪ ಬಂತ ಅಥವಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತಾ ಅಂತ. ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ನಾನು ಓದಿದ್ದು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಆದರೆ ಅವರೇ ಹೇಳಿದರು ಈ ಲೆಟ್ರನ್ನ ಓದಿದ್ದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಬೇಡ ಅಂತ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಗೊತ್ತಾಯಿತು ಅವ್ರ ಲೆಟ್ರ್ ಹರಿದಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಓದಿದ್ದನ್ನು ನಾನು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಡ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಫಾದರ್ ಮೈಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಅಪ್ಸೆಟ್ ರೀಡಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಸ್ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಲೆಟರ್. ತಂದೆಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅವನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ಟೀಫನ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ವೇರ್-ಅಬೌಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ ಹೂ ಬ್ರಾಟ್ ದ ಲೆಟರ್. ಸ್ಟೀಫನ್ ಆ ಸರ್ವೆಂಟ್ನ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಾನೆ, but gets cheated by the servant, and Brainworm is mocking at Stephen's simple-mindedness for being cheated by a servant. Edward reads the letter to his cousin Stephen and invites him to join him in the get-together. Get-togetherಗೆ ನೀನು ಬಂದು ಕರೀತಾನೆ. Stephen at first refuses, but when Edward insists, he agrees. And Stephen thinks that he is taking him there to learn the ways of urban life. But soon we realize that Edward is not inviting Stephen to teach him something, but to take the advantage of his simple-mindedness and to cheat him out of his money in gambling. ಜೂಜಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವನ ಹಣವನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವನನ್ನು ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಎಡ್ವರ್ಡು. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ Edward Novel realizes that his father has read Velvet's letter. The contents of the letter are hurtful to Novel Senior. Brainworm makes fun of Stephen. Edward does not stop him. Edward invites Stephen to get together in order to cheat him. Stephen agrees to go with Edward. And multiple choice questions in this session are: who tells Edward Novel about his father's knowledge of the contents of the letter? It is Brainworm. Does Stephen realize that Brainworm was laughing at him? Yes. No. ನಿನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತೇ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ತುಂಬ ಇನ್ನೋಸೆಂಟ್ ಇವನು. Who has conned Stephen at the beginning of the scene? Brainworm, Edward, Novel, Velvet's servant. Velvet servant ಮೋಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು, ಅಂದರೆ ಚೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. And where does Edward Novel invite Stephen to? To watch a play with his friend, to a party with Matthew, to a get-together organized by Velvet, to take revenge on the servant. ಎಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಅವನು ಕರೀತಾನೆ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕರೀತಾನೆ? ಟು ಪಾರ್ಟಿ, get-together organized by Velvet. Why does Edward Novel invite Stephen to the get-together? To take advantage of Stephen's innocence. ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಏನೇ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್.